stream is not yet set, and Kostya's gonna yell at me because he's gonna be like, "Oh, dude, your layout is terrible." Well, David had to do his whole layout, and they sent him something. It didn't work. I asked for it. Maybe they're gonna get me it, and I have to also find this dude Zach's game. In fact, the first thing we got. See, these windows don't work too good. Up in the right should be Kostya's fair face, but I think, I don't know why you can't, it doesn't work too good. There, so I have to have it actively open or something, or else it goes away. But there it is there. Who knows, maybe if I just make it super small or something. Okay. Let me say this is a really interesting game. Kostya won the first three, but against chumps. And it's a bummer when you're playing for a norm because it doesn't really help you that much when you play a bunch of chumps. This guy is not that high rated, but if Kostya wins, it would at least, get him up to, let's call it norm contention. Joining me, I have the famous I am Jameel, who is a King's Indian expert. So we're going to be checking that out. He's going to be helping us out here. So I'm just going to find this. Jameel, tell us something, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good.
Now, how come you are not at this tournament? That's what I'd like to know. It is being held in Portugal, boss. In Portugal.
Is it?
Yeah, Portugal, dude. You're supposed to be there.
You could have told me that in advance.
You guys, if maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but Kostya, or I've been telling I am Jameel to play a real tournament. He's a pandemic player and has played just a couple, never a tournament, dude, but a couple couple club games. But has made immense progress, and then he's afraid to play the club games. He claims he doesn't have much time, but basically afraid. And here, actually, I'm going to ask the chat a basic question. Can chat find me this dude's games? This dude's game. He is streaming on another channel, I think, but I don't see it on the ChessCom. So I can see his board, but I do not see it on the business here. So if you have any help with that, mucho appreciated. I'm gonna put Kostya's board in the middle for a second. I can't see this dude Zach. I might exit if no one can help me out. But let's do something more interesting, Jameel. Let's talk about what happened in this game. So, let's just walk through it. You've faced this kind of thing before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very slow C3. Actually, so let me just preface this actually with saying this dude Davies is kind of like my generation. Like me, his rating is a GM whose ratings collapsed. His collapse is even worse than mine. Oh wait, my mic's is way over here. And he prides himself, maybe a little bit like me, but just in all the interviews I've heard, he really thinks he's an endgame genius. And if you are an endgame genius, maybe you would play this kind of setup where you think you're an endgame genius. And I think, well, first of all, Black has zero to complain about.
Just quickly, Jesse.
Yeah.
Question. Rather than d6, objectively, would d5 have been the better move for Black?
The thing of taste.
A thing of taste?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here White makes, I feel, a concession, takes. And Kostya could have easily taken back with a pawn, but decided with a knight, which also makes sense. And I'm gonna say in this position, already I'd rather be Black. Doesn't mean I think Black's better after Queen E5, but I'd rather be Black. Okay. Knight c3. Queen d4, kind of a weenie move. So as you can see, this guy, this guy is like, I'm an endgame genius, and I'm going to outplay this kid in an endgame. Good
And how
move.
would you rate Kostya's endgame skills?
Poor.
Okay, so maybe he's onto something.
Kostya's endgame is definitely poor. He, when like David and him do endgame sensei, he's just flailing. And so I think definitely one of the main reasons he isn't GM yet is like he has not done the rook endgame progression, as an example.
And how trainable would you say endgames are relative to other dimensions of the game?
Kostya could have trained it. But he's done a lot of endgame tactics. He's even done a course on endgame tactics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he doesn't. His endgame's, I would say, weak. Okay, but in any case, that doesn't mean he's going to lose this thing. Knight d4, knight e6.
And how would you rate this?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure I get knight e6. Okay.
No way, frankly. I thought if he would have wanted to trade stuff off, would bishop e6 not have been the better move here?
Well, the drawback of bishop e6, right, is that
Oh, I see. No. I see, because if knight e6, he doesn't want to give him the option to have the unopposed light square bishop.
And I feel like I just found this guy Zach's game, so I'm gonna pull that up too here. Though I just want to stress for the fans here that we are gonna look. I think mostly, at least I'm gonna be prejudiced to looking at Kostya's game, but I'm gonna finally put this bad boy up here. And the reason I'm prejudiced has nothing to do with it just being, a dojo affair, but because Kostya is chasing a GM norm, and this is an absolutely essential game. So if you missed it before, what I said, Kostya, he won the first 3 games, but because they were against lower rated players, they don't really help that much in his GM norm quest, okay? And the grief is then, the good news is you win enough rounds at these opens, you eventually play a GM like he's doing now. And so that's a good thing. And now he has to really win. So for example, he's playing this guy who's rated only 2,300. And if he draws, he gets a performance rating of 2,300 for that round, right? And so that's not good. So he really needs to win. Now, let's talk about this knight d4 situation here for a second. So I think knight d4 was, whether we like knight e6 or not, knight d4 put some good questions to Kostya on the table, because he now has to be concerned with knight b5. And he cannot play c6 because of bishop e7. So whatever we want to say about knight e6, it's definitely true that Kostya has a couple issues to work out in the position. So the way it went down was knight e6, bishop h4, and at this point, I think we can say that white has a small advantage. At the minimum, black has to figure their life out, because knight b5 is going to be a thing, threatening bishop takes e6. You cannot play c6 again because of bishop e7.
And what about knight takes d4 here?
Then after c takes d4, you're a little worse. That's definitely a thought, though. You could play knight d4, c d4, rook e8, and then intend to play c6, but you're definitely worse because of the c file and everything. That might be the best chance, though. I would say knight d4, cd, and then rook e8. Maybe Kostya can find something better. But let's just look at that. Good.
One guy in the chat's asking why not rook e8 first then.
Maybe. But let's just look at this briefly. So rook e8, and then the intention is to play c6 next move, and then d5. But here you can see white has a number of moves to kind of mess with him. You know, the simplest being bishop g3. There might be other things too. But okay, this would be one way. You're definitely not lost here, you're just worse. And then people are asking about rook e8. Maybe, but then you have to have an answer to knight b5. Right? Thank you for keeping tabs on the chat, by the way. I'm going to open this little... My business. Sorry about the layout and everything. This was a little bit haphazard, as all things Kraai doing this. And then I guess I should also write, put over this. Let's move myself over a little bit. And we'll put a text in, and we'll say, commentary with the famous I am Jameel. Just make that small. Okay, great. Oh, I got so many windows open. Let Kraai run Twitter. I know, man. I know. David had this beautiful layout. He said it wasn't easily copyable. Yeah, so we got this thing here. By the way, just optically, this kid, Zach, seems like he's got a nice position. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that too. But at the moment, let's focus here in our main position. This is bishop h4. And the question is, does Kostya have anything better than the suffering that would come with knight d4? One thing I'll say, actually, just looking at this guy, Nigel Davies, clearly out of shape. And I'll say, you know, I'm not saying it to be mean. The thing to recognize is that when you're an older dude, and I have experience with this because I just got, played the U.S. senior, you could be a really super talented GM, yada, yada. But if you're not in shape, man, hour 4 kind of comes around, and it's not looking good. Not looking good. Kostya plays the ambitious a3. And I'm assuming that white is going to play b4. Okay. Now, the reason a3 is ambitious, well, we have to have an idea after b4. Let's put it that way. We need an idea after b4. The reason I think b4 is better than b3 is just because we would like to use the b3 square for our pieces. And as Jameel knows well, the pawns on the dark squares work well with our bishop on the light squares. But it's conceivable you could worry about something after b4. I don't know what it would be, but anyways, I wouldn't want to play b4 if I was Kostya, if I didn't know what I was going to, I wouldn't want to play a3, encouraging b4, unless I knew what I was going to do after. Because
is there some hope down the line that he trades all the pieces off and somehow turns that a3 pawn into a pass pawn?
We can always hope, Jameel. We can always hope. The other thing about this, too, that I don't quite get is in a lot of those lines now with knight d4, cd4, the pawn on b2 was a target. So imagine knight d4, cd4. There were lines I was thinking white might want to play d5 to prevent, say, c6 or to mess with c6. But that d5 was at least difficult because of bishop b2.
I suppose another question is, what does Kostya plan on doing if knight b5 now?
Well, no, AB then really shatters us.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
So after b4. Oh, I suppose maybe he wants to take the knight then.
Well, but like I'm saying, let's say you take now. This seems to me a much worse situation for black than this one. Because this one, we at least have the b2 pawn to look at. Whereas in this one, let's say rook e8. Again, if c6, bishop e7.
Oh, bishop e6?
Bishop e6, you lose the c7 pawn. See?
Oh, yeah, bishop takes, yeah.
So in this position, for example, white has a bunch of things he could do. b5, d5. I can make c6 very difficult. And then I'm just working you, you know? This would be the default move, d5. That would be our default because we're just going to play things like bishop b3 and talk to your coconut. Right? So we're going to see what goes...
Wait, what about rook... I'm just speculating here.
Yeah.
Rook e4 here.
Maybe, but well, I mean, we haven't really changed anything here.
Rook... No.
So let's just stress if
rook a4, but then oh yeah, maybe rook a4.
No, boss. Look, I'm gonna go either b5 or d3, and then I win this coconut, and that's game.
Rook takes. Rook takes bishop.
Boss, your bishop's hanging.
Oh yeah, it is.
Okay, so I don't, unless Kostya has an idea here, I don't like this a3 move. Hi, Mr. Austin Mahogany. Michael, I said Mahogany's Mahogany. Yeah. One thing that's clever about what white did is I don't think Kostya's comfortable in this situation. You know, I just don't feel black, especially if he didn't. You think about it. Oh, wait, black moved, I think. Bishop d7 was played. Okay, here's Kostya's idea. Okay, let's try to think about it now. So one cool thing about this bishop d7 now is that if knight b5, let's just put that on the board, we're not really threatening to play bishop e6 so soon because then bishop b5 happens. Now we could have done that without a3 too, but I just wanted to point that out. So. White has several reasonable looking moves here. We don't want to play b5 yet, just on principle, because that takes away the b5 square and gives him this thought. Okay. Okay, I mean, I still like white a lot, but bishop d7 at least kind of deals with knight b5. Kind of. White has a lot of different moves here that look interesting. Let's flip it and talk about what we think possible plans are for white. There's the basic bishop b3, c4, c5. That's a thought. Basically, by the way, white wants to do something before black can achieve c6, d5. That's the thing that black would like to achieve. But actually, you can see here that white's got a number of different ways to prevent that from happening. Okay, so bishop b3, c4 looks reasonable. You could also play basic building moves like king f1 if you come up with nothing else. I kind of like bishop b3. Do you have any ideas, Jameel? Oh, also maybe annoying.
What about just
Yeah.
slightly speculative here? No, I was thinking if there's any sort of way to go bishop f1. The thing is, I don't want to play g3 because there's my bishop on h4 strapped. But to get my bishop onto onto g2, so he gets the long diagonal.
No, maybe just g2. Abdul's saying f3, bishop f2. Maybe f3, bishop f2. It's a little abstract, but we could do f3, bishop f2. By the way, I think you could. He's also going to think about just the direct bishop d5 with the claim. Okay, I don't even know if this is true yet, but with the claim that c6 isn't really playable.
Because of captures, and then I capture and...
Because so knight takes, and then you'd have to capture with the pawn. And then I go back, and then I guess you'd have to play this.
And what's wrong with bishop takes?
Then the d6 pawn will hang.
No. I'm talking about instead of knight takes for white.
Well, I don't want to, but now where does the knight go?
So bishop takes?
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
All right. Now, by the way, bishop d5.
But then bishop e7.
No, but your bishop's hanging on d5 though, boss.
Yeah, so bishop takes e6.
Yeah.
No, bishop takes, Jesse.
No, I'm playing pawn takes. That's the whole point. I have to play knight pawn takes. Oh, I'm sorry. Bishop takes.
Yeah, so bishop takes e6, pawn takes e6.
Oh yeah, you're right, dude. You're right. So c6 is out.
Yeah.
So c6 is out.
Exactly. So if pawn takes e6, then you go bishop e7.
Yeah,
right?
That's why we have you here, Jameel.
And if he takes back with the bishop, you take back with the knight. He takes back, and you lose the d6 pawn anyway.
Right.
Because of the rook takes.
Right. So okay, if that's true, then of the plans available for white, bishop d5 is very concrete at least, because it's going to force black to do something nasty. He played king f1, which, like we said, totally nice building move, and I don't see how black gets out of their grief until they play c6, d5. So king f1, I liked bishop d5 just because I looked like you're going to have to do something nasty like rook b8, but there's nothing wrong with king f1 as long as black can't do c6, d5.
Well, I think black's got to go rook e8 because there are too many tactics with bishop e7 and him winning the pawn.
Good. Let's look at rook e8. Yeah. By the way, one thing I was thinking.
So just quickly, because someone in chat saying it does nothing. So the idea behind rook e8 is that there were a few variations where bishop e7 was played, hitting the rook on f8 and the pawn, which would be hanging in said variations, on d6. And rook e8 prevents that.
Right. So what rook e8's really threatening too, by the way, is to play c6 and then d5.
Yeah.
I feel like black gets c6, d5, they'll achieve equality.
But you can't play c6 now though, still, can you? Because
yes,
c6
I play, because if knight takes, I play bishop takes.
And then bishop takes, pawn takes, and then rook takes.
No, I get to play with a rook takes.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Right. And then, now let me just make a little point here. So back here on b4, we could have played rook. We might have been able to play rook e8 here. Okay. I just realized something nasty. Okay, first let me explain the idea. The idea with rook e8 would be if knight b5, then bishop d7. So if bishop e6 now, I still have this and I'm going to live. However, I think there was a nasty here on rook e8. I don't think it's, well, we'll see if it's true. But the idea would be here, and then if here, we could claim that that's winning for white or clearly better. However, on bishop d5, we have pap. So that if bishop e8, we have knight e2. Black lives.
Mm-hmm.
So
question, Jesse.
Yeah.
Quick question, just a side note. The title of this stream.
Yeah.
In brackets, you have no commentary on.
Oh, okay. I can fix that.
Yeah, someone in the chat just pointed out that that's been delightfully misleading.
But that was because David did this before, and you know. But I can fix that. Okay, so update titles. Update all. Yes. Okay. Okay, so I just want to say, at this point, it's looking like rook e8 might have been a little bit more accurate because we have an answer to both bishop b5 and knight b5, and we would be immediately threatening c6. And again, the idea would be on knight b5, we meet that with bishop d7, right? Holding our coconuts together because bishop e6, bishop b5. And the problem is bishop d7, it's not clear the bishop actually belongs there, right? Okay, king f1, and then Kostya makes the abject rook fc8. Okay.
What? Okay.
Now, what is interesting about that move, I think, is he is saying that well, let's think about this for a second. Rook fc8 has some dreams of maybe c5 someday. Let's flip it back. It has some dreams of playing king f8. Now, one thing, if I was white, I feel like king f1, I don't know. Because think about it, you could bring the king to e2, it's abstractly useful, but it doesn't actually put a bunch of stress yet on the black position.
What's your thought? What are your thoughts, Jesse, on rook's fc8?
I think he is claiming that he can sit here without ever having to play c6.
Unless white somehow gives him the opportunity to do so.
Right. And one of the reasons I like bishop b3 earlier is that it immediately posed the question of c4, c5, whereas king f1 didn't pose anything.
And here's another question, Jesse. What do you think of, let's say it's black to move here. Knight takes d4. One of the pawn takes, whatever. And then b5.
I mean, definitely worse for black, right? Because you're the c file.
So maybe c5 is an idea?
For black, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, someday c5. Yeah. Now, one bummer for white here. Let's flip it back for a second. One bummer for white is that on bishop d5, now c6 works, I think. Let me stress, I think. We should look. Because if bishop d5 works, then he should definitely consider it.
Well, hold up, Jesse.
Well, like
yeah, it's.
Looks like it works, right?
Yeah, it looks like it works. I'm thinking, is there any way to get both pieces out the way? But no, maybe. I mean, do you really want to play bishop? No.
Okay, so this guy played bishop g3. And bishop g3 makes c6 difficult. Now, I think the intuitive response from Kostya here should now be like, oh, well, now I'm going to play king f87.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
I agree.
So bishop g3, I don't know. I don't know because king f87 looks like very, like, in contrast to king f1, king f87 does things immediately. Protects my d7 bishop, which could be loose, touches d6, you know. At some point after king f87, I could think about bishop e5. It also touches e6, which is important in some lines.
And is bishop f6 an idea?
Okay, what do you want to do?
With the idea of h5, h4.
Hey, you always want to be going for murder, bro. No, Black has to solve his grief first, dude.
All right, so the most intuitive plan you'd say is king f8 to e7.
Yeah, king f8, dude.
And then that would make c6 possible, wouldn't it?
Well, hold on, actually. Let's do one quick thing. So let's say if we go king f8, the issue now is, check this out. Now white has a momentito when bishop d5 is a thing. See? Because I can't play c6 because of the d6 pawn now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe I just abjectly play here and say, you've got nothing.
Well, okay. Let's just calculate knight takes d4.
But how's that going to help?
Well, actually, no. The thing is, if he ever takes the d6 pawn, it comes with check.
Well, yeah, and also, Jameel, if I get the c file, look at that. I'm better. So bishop g3, I think to me, it's like, it's a good move if king f8 doesn't work. So bishop d5. Let's imagine this move for a second, rook fb8. And black just needs two moves, king e7, c6. But I think what happens is I play c4 first. And the London bishop is doing its thing. For example, king e7, c5, and then white's definitely better. I think. Looks good.
I mean, instead of rook c b8, maybe rook a7?
Maybe. I think I can do a similar thing, by the way. I still play c4.
Yeah.
That looks unpleasant. Okay. Now, it could get a little tactical. For example, maybe rook a4, and then I go c5. I don't know. You know, it looks, in general, though, it looks good for white. Okay. So, bishop g3 was played. Now Kostya's tanking. Yeah. Let's briefly look at this other game and then see what's going on here. So, Kostya, we're looking at this position. To me, I don't know, white definitely looks nice, dude. White looks like he has a nice position. Better king, better minor. Rook on c6 is amazing. Not clear advantage, right? At some point he plays b4. He can do it at his leisure.
I mean, there's still a lot of work for white to do. So, you know,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, would you even want to consider some knight g5, trying to get to e4?
Oh, you're talking about black. I mean, this Kostya's game. I was looking at this other one.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so we're looking at the game on the left now.
Right, just for a moment. He just played rook c3. That's, at the minimum, a reasonable looking move.
Yeah, I said white's better here, that's for sure.
Yeah. On a GM level, it might even be lost, but there's still, like, he has to time b4 correctly, and also he has to understand that he might have chances to play also on the king side with h4, g4, but he can't rush it.
What if black goes rook a8?
What's the intention?
You want to go rook c8?
No, but you can't, because first of all, the b6 pawn is hanging. And second of all, like, even if you took on c6, I'd have that big old passed pawn.
It's a bit difficult to come up with anything for black here.
Yeah, very difficult. So let's say that looks to us like clear advantage. And we'll go back to Kostya's game over here. King f8 was played, and the guy, the chump, he didn't even think about it. He played king e2 pretty quickly. There's a yeah.
We were looking at king f8.
King f8 and then bishop d5.
Bishop d5.
Yeah.
Is there any way to stop that?
I mean, that looks to bishop d5 was a good move because c6 is not possible, and then when black defends, we have c4, c5, which we want really to do to open up our c rook and the bishop on g3.
Well, I think after king e7 now, Kostya plays king e7, it's not so obvious that white's winning this.
Well, right, and now by the way, we got to say, after king e7, we're still not threatening c6. Okay? Because knight takes e6 and bishop takes d6. We're still not threatening that thing.
Yeah.
But white can't play bishop d5. Because then I think, even then maybe. Even then, maybe.
White plays bishop d5 here, c6 works.
I think so.
Remember, the bishop on d5 is blocking the rook as well.
I know. I'm just thinking there might be some little tricky wicky way to do it. In any case, my basic thought would be, hey, let's play bishop b3 intending c4, c5. However, this guy doesn't seem keen on playing c4, c5. Yeah. It's a little weird not to be thinking this long, too. So I just want to stress, these guys are going to face time pressure. No doubt. I'm pretty sure I should look up the time control, but they are going to hit time pressure. Yeah.
Jesse, what do you think of a move like f5 here?
Instead of king e7? Or after king e7?
After king, yeah, my apologies.
Okay, king e7 was played, and this guy quickly played knight takes e6.
Is there a tactic we're missing here?
I think he's playing with just a very basic plan. I think. We're going to see.
What do you think pawn takes next?
Well,
or do you want to go bishop takes?
The problem with pawn takes is our bishop on d7 is fundamentally worse. The issue with bishop takes, I don't know if it's really an issue, but white has a simple plan of bishop takes. Let's just play pawn takes for a second and c4, intending c5, with the claim that white is just a little bit better. Seems true. Definitely not winning or anything, but a little bit better. That went down, so I called it. I know how old-time GMs think.
Mm-hmm.
So what is White doing? He's playing a very minimalistic approach. And one of the problems actually of doing this as an old dude is it just means the game's going to last forever. That's what it means. It means this game's going to go on forever, boss. And, you know, as an old dude, not necessarily the best strategy because you're going to run out of gas.
And what do you think after bishop takes e6? Pawn takes or king takes?
Pawn takes, that's what Kostya did. And I'm assuming c4 is his idea.
c4. Rook a4.
Good, let's look at it. So c4, rook a4, let's say c5. Now, pawn takes might be playable, but let's play d5 first. And the point would be that it's not so much the b pawn, which is, it would be nice to win the b pawn, but like on a move like this, b5, rook b4, rook b1. I mean, first of all, there's bishop b2, but I can also play rook b2, in which case black is completely fine. So c4. Well, actually, okay. So maybe if White's going to do it, it would go c4, rook a4, rook b1. But notice here too, bishop b2.
Oh, you could even start with bishop b2.
Yeah, you could start with bishop b2 too. So this natural move that by the way, this was the only idea I thought White had when he played the way he did. He might be discovering, oh no, maybe I wasn't a genius.
Yeah, okay, let's go c4, bishop b2. I wonder which one is more accurate.
Well, let's just say the obvious. It's not looking like c4 is a good move. It's the intention, I thought, but it's not working. So he's going to have to do something different. Now, I think you could still make a claim that White's a little better after a move like e4. It is really nothing special now, though. Yeah.
And then what does Kostya want to do with his rooks? Maybe a move like rook f8, trying to get control of the f-file.
Well, let's just say the guy could do all kinds of stuff here. White's just got a slightly better pawn structure, you know? And c4 is difficult because of rook a4 ideas.
And bishop b2.
Mm-hmm. Abdul's asking about what would be wrong about f takes instead of bishop takes. You could do pawn takes too, but the bishop on d7 is not the greatest piece. So there's nothing really, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but this is the natural move to play bishop e6 because that bishop is not great.
Let's just humor him for a second. If you go pawn takes, you follow it up with a move like bishop c6 maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. Let's say e4. You know, if bishop c6, I'll play f3.
Or alternatively, you could follow it up with d5.
Why isn't he controlling d5?
Well, if you take with the pawn. No. Oh, you're saying pawn takes in the immediate e4.
Yeah. I'm sure this was playable too. I'm sure this was playable. Okay, he did play c4, my friends. And so either he has an idea against rook a4 or he just misunderstood. Now, actually, let's take a closer look. So rook a4. Well, we can throw in bishop b2 if we want to. Now, I assume b5 might be the idea. I don't like any of this, but let's just look at it. So I don't like it because rook b4, at the minimum, black is getting interesting little coconut touches going.
You're getting it.
Mm-hmm. Now, if white had one more tempo, he could throw in b6, and that would be cool. He did play c4. He thought about it 4 minutes. And all right, let's try to imagine, let's try a little guess the move here after rook a4. Maybe rook b1 is this notion. But then bishop b2, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And you said c5?
But c5, you know, I think has two. Well, the main issue is, okay, what are you going to do after d5? And the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah. And can we just look at, instead of rook a4, if you went bishop b2 first?
I assume I got to play here.
Okay, and then rook a4.
And then I assume this is happening. But now we see you've blocked off your own business. Okay, rook a4 was played. We're going to see if white had anything fancy. But honestly, after b5, rook b4, maybe I would want to be black. It's probably still equal, but maybe I want to be black.
So if c5, d4, and if c4, rook b4. Sorry, if b5, I mean,
yeah.
Rook b4.
So I'm assuming, I don't see anything for white besides b5, rook b4.
One guy in the chat goes, Kostya wants to win, and Nigel wants to know.
It looks kind of, well, like I'm saying, if you're an older dude, man, it's like you can play the first couple hours well, but then you're going to get exhausted, dude. Okay.
I think there's also an argument that
b5 was played.
Okay. There's also an argument that black's bishop is marginally better than white's bishop. You know, white's bishop is eyeing up this d6 square and this c7 square, but besides that, I do think that, namely because of this a3 thing that Kostya played a while back, you know, there's some real hope that Kostya can make something out of this.
Well, yeah. I mean, this dude just let him in. He played so soft. Like, he had so many opportunities to prevent this kind of thing from happening. And he played soft, and now this guy, now... By the way, I think rook b4 is mostly forced, because if you allow b6, we're going to get hurt. Now, I just had a crazy thought. Let me just... I don't think this works, but let's just look. Because I'm wondering what Kostya is afraid of here, because he's taking a while in rook b4. Now, it doesn't look good, but let me just try it. So c5. Okay. And we'll look at rook b2 in a second, but the basic idea is if, obviously, rook takes b5, we have cd. And then on this move, the question is, can white do anything fancy? I kind of don't think he can, but let's just... No, I don't think he can. I was thinking, like, can he get away with something? Now, by the way, this rook b2, I get it. We're going to throw it in at some point. But I just want to look.
c6 here, no?
No, c6. Well, black could play c6, but he could also take. I could just take on b6.
after b6, c6.
But Jameel, the pawn on b6 is hanging.
So yeah, but you do
Allow some kind of rook c7.
You do allow some kind, yeah.
In any case, the main reason I'm doing this is just to ask, like, why is Kostya thinking on b5? Because why is he thinking, oh my God, Kostya played b6. So he was terrified of precisely that variation. Or something like it. He was terrified of something.
But what was wrong with rook b4?
I didn't see anything wrong. He was worried about some kind of c5 thing. Now, let's just say it's true that it's not super easy for white to figure out what to do. Oh, you know what? We might have a problem here with the boards. So if I don't manually touch the chess nerd board, see, it doesn't show. I have to go touch it, or else it doesn't update, which is a real drag. But that's that position. Again, the guy looks like he's doing great. He's doing great. He just played g4. Nah, let me just say, not my first intuition here. So a key issue when you got a nice position like this, especially for players, let's say at the lower levels. I don't want to say Zach's at the lower levels, but he's not an IM or GM. Is they rush the position, and g4 definitely feels rushed because you're creating weaknesses, and the knight lives for little drama moments that they can create with pawn weaknesses, and so g4 is going to create some weaknesses.
Sorry, what game are you talking about?
The one on the left, boss. He just played g4.
Okay.
Now, his advantage is so big that I don't think g4 ruins it, but I just, in principle, don't like it.
Is that another content creator, Zachariah?
Yeah.
He's a chess nerd, right?
He's the chess nerd, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, that's... And the guy, oh no, his opponent pushed back. Now, h4 was an abysmal move because now white can play g5 and have the better structure and get the bishop on g4, which was the intention, I suppose, anyway, of g4. And black did it immediately. And g5, good move. So the gamble, the g4 gamble, paid off for the chess nerd here. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Let's go back to Kostya's game. And we have this b6 move on the board. And f3, another kind of soft move here. Okay. So, now let's just say if f3 was the best move for white, then we can't be too sad for Kostya about b6, right? Now, f3, obviously, if it was white's move, he could play bishop e1 and then at least prevent rook b4.
If he goes rook b4 now.
Right.
Which is probably the move.
That's what happened, right? Mm-hmm.
It still looked okay in the previous.
Yeah, I didn't see anything wrong with it, the previous move. So, well, given the kind of, I don't know, I would say coming out of the opening, there was a point, especially after that knight e6 move, where white definitely felt clearly better to me. And here he, at the minimum, I don't see any, big reason to think that.
And the thing is, once
Yeah.
Kostya gets his rook to b2, let's say he blocks with the d rook, and Kostya goes rook a8. I don't think there's any way to defend it.
Well, let's just say it's very annoying on b2. It's very annoying. If this were a blitz game, you'd play like rook c2, rook b2, king d3, and then you'd be like, well, obviously black can play things like rook a8 then. And then you'd be like, well, boss, what am I doing? What am I doing? Now, the bummer is, again, I can only stream one game at a time. Okay? So it's a real bummer. I got to click on the board for it to work.
Oh, I'm watching them both at the same time. On the Twitch. So just note there's a little bit of a lag.
No, boss. No, I have to click on it. So I have to go to the board itself. Like, let's say I'm watching Kostya's game. It does not update automatically.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. And this dude just played rook c7, which looks like a desperation move here.
Yeah, well, rook takes b6 here.
Because it's not only like maybe the guy has some dramatic tactic after rook takes b6, and I just want to stress, I don't see it. But even if he doesn't have a dramatic tactic, then rook takes c6 really isn't a threat. See, because I'll just play pawn takes, and I'll say thank you very much for giving me that beautiful passed pawn. Yeah, so this looks very pleasant for white. I don't understand rook c7 at all. But he is in desperation. He's in desperation. Yeah. Am I a GM? I am, though not a very fancy GM. Just a low-life GM. This was being asked on Zach's channel. I'm trying to kind of watch both. I am Jameel. Will keep tabs on the Dojo channel, I hope. Okay, so again, I have to tab back and forth. Rook b4. Well, Kostya's doing fine, dude. Kostya's doing fine.
What would you say? Clear advantage?
No.
Slight advantage?
I'd say it's probably a draw here.
Equal?
If he wants to, so like, imagine white plays like rook c2. Let's put a variation in. Rook c2, rook b2, king d3. How do you prevent bishop e1, bishop c3? Right? How do you prevent that from happening? Now, I'm not saying white's better, but I'm just saying, like, black would need something very special at this point.
I'm just wondering if once he moves the bishop, is c5 an idea?
I mean, if you wanted to go for it, maybe you do some wild move like c6. I don't know. Maybe. It's certainly true that this guy is like giving Kostya way more than Kostya, had in the position.
He hasn't played anything. No.
He's just still sitting on rook b4, yeah.
Oh, it's Kostya's move.
Edwig asks, does Zach have this one? It certainly looks one to me, man. Yeah. And here we have king d3 kind of as anticipated. And we're anticipating now rook b2. And then rook d2 or rook c2 seem like they're indicated. Now, if one reason to not play rook c2 would be, am I afraid of c6? Right? Am I afraid of that move? Now, if you play king d3, it's kind of natural then to be like, well, the only reason to play king d3 is if I want to play rook c2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's look at this for Kostya. Rook b4, rook c2. Let's try c6. A little frisky. Now, let's just say this is a big gamble, because now black will truly have some weak pawns, and maybe it's just inadvisable. For example, snip, snop, rook over here, right? And black has to be a little careful because these b6 and d6 pawns aren't the happiest customers.
Okay, I mean, say d5.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find something else, Jameel. So king d3, rook b2, rook c2. Maybe a rook, I don't know, rook a4 or something. But rook a4, he's going to do the bishop e1 thing.
H4, H5. So H5, H4.
I don't know what it does, because he wants to play bishop e1, bishop c3 anyway.
But then you could try H3, rook F4, rook F8 as an idea, switching sides.
I guess.
Immediate d5.
Maybe. Maybe, but I'm going to say I don't get it. But we could try. d5, c takes, pawn takes. And look at that poor pawn on c7, dude. Look at that poor pawn. Probably rook here. You don't want that, right?
Well, I think it's slightly less. Is it slightly less potent once the bishop goes to e1?
Maybe. Okay, a move has been played. c6 was played. Ambitious move.
Oh,
yeah.
Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It probably transpose. That rook b2 we can kind of, throw in at any point. So yeah, I'm thinking about maybe here's a thought that's a little bit different. Maybe imagine, well, I don't know. Yeah, imagine pawn takes, rook takes. And let's just put rook c2 on the board for a second. Maybe we could think about b5 in this position. Right? And the point would be that if pawn takes, we could do this. And we claim that we're better. And it's probably true. It's probably true. Look at that a-pawn. Remember, you said ages ago about hope? Hope in the a-pawn? You said it, dude. Now, I still don't know for sure, though, because white can play here. And if bishop b2, then there's that problem.
Pawn takes instead of bishop b2.
Okay. Not easy, right?
No.
Okay, so
rook c2.
oh wait, things happen. Pawn takes, rook takes did happen. And then
is there any merit to d5 instead of b5?
So let me just stay here while white's thinking on this move. I don't see another move besides rook c2, but maybe there is one. Now I think the idea, Jameel, is whether it's b5 or d5 from black, white still does this.
Rook b2. Rook c takes. E takes d5. King f6. Oh no, bishop h4 g5. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Looks winning for white. Okay, but for sure these are the things to definitely consider. Yeah. Let me go click on dude's board so that we get it going. What? So rook takes b6 happened. Rook a b7. We just lost the pawn. Thank you very much. Now this a4 move I don't like. The pawn was already defended, and it makes b4 from white harder to play. However, it's still totally winning.
You probably should have played b4 now, even.
It was all kinds of moves. I didn't like a4. And then he's doing this bishop d1 stuff. Now, by the way, it's probably good enough. Because white has a simple plan of playing rook c4, b4, and then once that happens, it's crispy critters. Black doesn't understand what they're doing. He's putting his rook on the blockade square. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? So bishop d1, king f8, and now we're anticipating rook c4 from Zach. It looks completely winning. Rook c4 followed by b4. Yeah. Okay. So Zach's doing great. Okay.
Any progress on Kostya's game?
Now dude is thinking here on rook takes c6.
So one guy says you can play e5 here to try and win immediately. I don't know which game he's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think e5. I don't think you want to play e5 on in Kostya's game because you're cutting off your bishop.
I don't think e5 works in. Oh, he's talking about white playing e5 on the game on the left.
On the left, in Zach's game, yeah.
Oh, black is toast. Black is toast over there. So, okay, let's look again. So, is there any ideas for Kostya after rook c2? I can see on the board, I'll just watch them over there. Something did happen. And looks maybe like bishop e1 was played. Just looking at the live feed. Oh, you know what? One of the things that's funny, Jameel, is when they do these games, right? They have to put it on a delay so that no one's cheating. But the cam might not be synced up too well with the game. In any case, to me, on the cam, it looks like bishop e1, like rook c2 and bishop e1 are on the board. So it looks like, okay, rook c2 did happen as expected. And then we have to wonder if Kostya's got any juice here.
Do they scan Kostya before he
Good question. It's really just at the fancy tournaments. Like when I was at the U.S. Senior, dude, they did a whole body scan all around the body, and they even had a special like electronics detector that they would put next to your ear. You know, it was pretty intense, dude. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty intense. Okay, so Kostya's thinking on rook c2. Now boner pull. I can't believe you got me to say that, boner pull. How did you get me to actually say that? I want to say about the game will usually be delayed half an hour, and whatever's going on Kostya's board, it is a little further along than we are, but I don't think it's that much. Like it's not delayed 30 minutes. Now Kostya, it looks like we have some kind of bishop e1 and a d5 thing on the board, and cd has just been played. So I don't know. We're about to see. It'll catch up. Kostya's dressing for the event, you know, with that nice traditional long shirt. He's got a big old hoodie next to him too. Can't be cold though there, right? It's got to be burning hot over there in Portugal. Maybe it's kind of cold.
He's got to represent the millennials.
That's right, dude. Yeah. I don't know if they have avocados though in Portugal. That's kind of a big question for.
They've got acais.
Oh yeah, the acai, right, dude. Do you like that stuff?
No.
No, you don't like it.
Personally.
It's kind of like a new fruit.
I do like a matcha though.
Let me give an update here. Rook c4, e6, b4 happened just as I'm good. I'm a GM. I called that. And Zach is completely crushing over here. Jake says avocados are not part of Portuguese cuisine. I guess. Avocados, you know, came from Mexico, and they literally mean, I think, the ball sack, you know. That's what they literally mean. I'm not making that up. They literally mean that.
But you're losing viewers with this foul language.
Oh, come on. I'm just telling you the truth, dude. It's not foul. The truth is never foul. In any case, you know, avocados, you could grow them in Portugal, although I bet you could. Anyways, you couldn't get them in other places besides California until recently. And this acai berry thing, I don't think that existed long ago either. I mean, maybe it existed.
I think it's Brazilian.
Acai palm plant. Okay.
So just on I'm looking at Zach's game.
You're absolutely right, dude. Brazil,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Just looking at Zach's game, I was considering knight a6.
You know, on knight a6, we could really mess with him. First of all, if you just move the rook, you're winning. But look, we could also take. Rook takes a7.
That's what I was looking. Pawn takes.
Yeah.
Rook takes rook. followed by, yeah, exactly. He's got no way to stop it.
The guy played knight b7, horrendously ugly move. And Zach he just can do whatever he wants here, dude. Rook c4 should be his default move.
Kostya Mahogi is asking if Kostya's doing okay. Yeah, he's doing fine. Jesse thinks probably equal, but I think we both agree we'd rather be black. Yeah.
Rook b2. So we did have rook c2, rook b2. And then I was guessing rook, ages ago, I was guessing rook dc1 here. And something I didn't notice is both of these players' ratings have crashed so much, that they are both, they're both exactly 23, 28. Okay, rook dc1, so I called that. And, we might get some kind of, maybe this is where I don't know.
Well, you think this is where Kostya goes d5?
I don't know. To me, it looks like basically black needs an idea here, and I don't see what that idea is.
Oh, he's got no way to target the...
Okay, so rook c5 was played.
Interesting move.
I believe he's intending to play d5 and then take back with check or something. But see, the problem is like that those rooks on the c file will be real jerks. Yeah.
Okay, d5, take back with check. And then if he can get rook b5 in.
Yes, is that still nothing too special, right? But yeah, man, you keep the game going that way. So now bishop e1 is a thought.
Well, another idea is you push d5 to get c4 pawn out the way, and then you follow it up with b4, b5, b4, maybe b3.
Now, I want to stress, this is a position where Kostya has to be careful not to become too frisky. Because, let's say the a3 pawn falls or the rooks invade, then of course we could become worse. The other real problem I want to stress from a competitive standpoint, and maybe this guy Davies even appreciates it. He's an old timer. Because see, Kostya has to win this game. He doesn't have to. But if he doesn't win this game, it means the chances for a norm go down kind of dramatically. And there's two reasons for that. One, he would get a performance rating of 23-28 for this game. Even though he's won 3 games in a row, none of those count because none of those people had a rating above 2200. So if you're playing someone below 2200 and you win, it's like it doesn't really help you for your quest because you need a performance rating of 2600, so plus 400 of the person's rating. So if black understands that, he could be like, if I just sit, Kostya will lose his mind. He probably doesn't know his name's Kostya, but he'll be like, my opponent's playing for a GM norm, and he will take risks because dude needs to win. The other reason Kostya needs to win is if he doesn't win, he's not going to play, likely, he won't play a higher, strongly rated player in the next round. This tournament's kind of weak, right? So, for example, normally you win a couple games, you're going to play a GM right away, but he's already played 3 rounds, won 3, and still didn't play anyone strong. Okay, we got to move. Bishop e1 was indeed played. So, right, if he doesn't win, it's bad for the performance rating, and it's poor for who he gets to play next round. Let's check in on our guy, Zach. And he's thinking, oh, he did play rook c4. That was a good move, Zach. Good move. Simple chess. We're going to play rook c7. We're going to make you wonder why you're alive. Everything's bad for black here. Dude played knight c5. And, I think it was Duel who mentioned e5 long ago, and e5 certainly looks like a good move. There's other ways of doing it, too. There's other ways. You could play bishop e2 intending rook takes c5. You've got a lot of good moves here. Yeah, this is horrendous. Similarly, actually, for Zach, I assume Zach is, he's lower rated, got a dream maybe of making FM someday. That would be 2,300. And, struggled in the first couple rounds. So then you're only playing a 1,700. He gets very little for this. But you know what? Here's an example of where the FIDE boost counts. So let me explain that fans of Zach should know that, let's say he's pushing for FM or something, right? The guy has a much better chance of making it now than he did a couple years ago, because this guy he's playing literally got something like 200 extra points when the FIDE boost happened. So instead of his rating being 1,700, like a year and a half ago, whenever the FIDE boost happened, it was more like 1,500, right?
Wait, can you just explain what the FIDE boost is?
Okay, actually, I want to take my year and a half back. It was like March of this year, where they took, how do we explain this? They made the new floor 1,400. Before it was, I believe, 1,200. And if you were 1,200, they gave you some like ridiculous 400 points. So they gave you half the distance to 2,000, right? So imagine 1,200 to, oh my God, yeah, they gave away so many points. And the lower rated you were, the more points you got. And so this guy Consalo was probably around 1,300 or something, and then he got a massive spike.
And why did they do that?
Because they were rightly concerned about deflation. But did this overcompensate? It seems to me like they really blew it. But in any case, that's just my opinion.
And what was the cause of the deflation?
The cause was, well, for one, what they probably should have done is kept it where it was back in the day, where to get a FIDE rating, you had to be 2,200. You had to get a performance rating of 2,200. And then by lowering it, they created a situation where, let's say you got a place like India, and they got a bunch of kids who are improving fast, and all those kids are playing against each other, and so their ratings don't go up. And then eventually they enter the system, and they're like, let's say they're already at 2,000 strength, but they have a rating of 1,200. And then all of a sudden, the deflationary process is spinning out of control. So that's my nutshell of why that went down. All right. So, knight c5. Zach's contemplating e5. It's a luxury decision for Zach. d5 was played. Now we got c takes, king takes, and white plays king e4. The most ambitious move. He's not afraid of rook b4 because of bishop takes b4. And the advantage of putting it on king e4 is not only does it look nice there, but if you went to e2, let me just put that back for a second. If he went to e2, then this rook on c2 would be pinned and we wouldn't be threatening this. So Kostya played rook e5, and after king d3, we're going to see if we just get a draw. He could be, by the way, you could always repeat. It's always good to repeat, but it's a little bit hard. So let's just say the bummer for Kostya is that this rook c7 is a hell of a drug. Okay, it's a hell of a drug. Yeah.
Namely because there are tactics where you can take the bishop on g7 and play, you take back with the king, let's say, and play bishop c3, forking the king and the rook on b2.
All right, so he repeated once, as we're taught to do. Mess with him. Just show him who's boss for a second, you know? Just show him who's boss. And then Kostya's going to think for a little bit. I'm going to use the potty real quick. What do you think, Jameel? Should he take it, or is there some way to play on?
Ooh. Well, the threat here is bishop b4, check, king moves, bishop takes a3. So Abdurrahman, b5 wouldn't work. I do think the draw is probably the best bet. Because if something like, I don't know, let's say rook b5, we have to be concerned about.
Wait, Jameel, he can't play bishop b4 because the rook on b2 can still take us. Right? So we can't do it yet. But rook c7 definitely looks like a threat.
And rook c5?
Well, maybe you could do something like rook c5. Okay.
Rook c5, let's say rook takes c5, pawn takes c5, rook takes c5, rook takes a2.
So, I like your rook c5 idea. After rook c5, in addition to rook takes c5, white could just play king d3 as well. But of course, then we could play on with a variety of moves. So
well, king d3, do we have rook takes a2?
Oh, good move. Okay, now you're talking. That might be a thing. I don't think so right away because of bishop. Then we could do bishop b4.
Yeah.
But the rook a2 idea is pretty cool.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at rook a2, rook a2, then you go bishop b4, rook takes c2, rook takes c2, rook takes c2, king takes c2, then you gotta go like bishop b2 and it's not the best. But yeah, maybe rook c5 is the best move here.
Okay. Here's some of my issues
with rook. What about rook? No. I was thinking, is there any tactic with rook d1, but he gives the check on c7 and then takes back. You can't allow the check on c7.
Yeah.
I mean, would we? No. I was thinking, would we want to consider something like bishop e5, but it feels a little bit loose there.
Let me just click on the game over here. The e5 did happen. King e7, bishop f3. I think he could do anything at this point. Knight d7. And there are loads of different moves here for white. Rook c6 comes to mind.
As does rook c7.
Yeah. Okay. So rook d7 was played by Kostya. Maybe.
d7 over c5? What do you think?
Maybe it's growing. It at least keeps the game going. On rook c5, I didn't actually get it where I didn't understand what exactly we were going to do in this position. Because I'm still threatening rook c7 as a pain in the butt.
Okay, rook takes a2 now.
Check. That's annoying, right?
Well, you gotta go king f8, don't you?
Well, so worst case scenario, I got to draw with this. I mean, maybe I got something else, but I get a draw. So rook d7 looks good.
I mean, is there any way to sack and push the pawn even?
I didn't see it. But rook d7, that's just a good move. And the bummer for white is it's not clear exactly what to do next. He plays the natural g4. I say natural because that's where he's got the stronger side. And he wants to do something over there. And now, I think a big question for me is, can black arrange for b5, b4 or not?
I mean, just quickly.
Yeah.
If let's say the king wasn't on the 7th rank.
Yeah.
Would rook d1 be an idea?
Maybe. Bear in mind even there I could play rook takes d1, rook takes c2, rook d2. You know, and you probably got to go back to b2 or something.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some argument maybe that the rook's uncomfortable in d2, because you might go rook c3 next. Sorry, bishop c3.
Okay, b5 was played. So like I said, this was the ambitious attempt. Now, here's the interesting question. If it were black's move, would b4 be a threat? Okay, so let's do a null move like h4, b4. Now, question, takes, check to the miserable king. Let's put on f7 first. We could change our mind. Rook b1. Have we done ourselves a service as black with this?
Rook a7.
I'm gonna play a3.
Okay, and then you go rook c7. And the reason for that is I didn't want to allow bishop a3. So rook a7, you said a3. Rook c7.
How about this, Jameel? How about we'll play rook c7 immediately.
Okay.
So that
a3.
If bishop d2, we have rook a7.
What about bishop a3?
I hear you. Give me a second. Then we play, first of all, rook c2 looks nice because we're just jamming him. But also rook a7, bishop b2, rook b7 is a pain. Now, white's probably drawing this position. But black can make him work. Okay. So, by the way, b5, I want to stress, that looks like the most, it's like the attempt to win. Dude did play h4. So I guessed that correctly. He's saying, I'm not afraid of b4. Honestly, maybe he's got nothing else to do. Now, let me just say something about this move h4. One thing that's a little bit admirable about the way White's playing this, whether he's right or wrong about h4, is he's like, my strong side is the king side. I don't even know exactly how the h4 pawn move is going to help me. But what I'm doing is I'm increasing the kinetic energy of my pawns so that later they could do something. Now, there's just one obvious question, right? And it's, can black play b4? That's it. That's the only question we have. Because there's no rook b7, because then you have rook c7. Well, let me put it this way. Let me put it a little bit more as a question. Does black have another option besides b4? Does he have maybe a building move before he throws b4 in there? And let's just say it's a very simple and evil idea. We go b4. If we achieve b3, we're doing great, because then the forest is going to run. Yeah. The other obvious thing that h4 does is it just gets the target out of the way. All right, so let's calculate b4. Besides rook takes b2, Jameel. Besides rook takes b2, does White have any other ideas? I think he might. He might. Here's a concern. Let's say I do this move. See, and the idea would be, if you go b3, then I go check to the miserable king. You go somewhere. But look, I snip this one. Then we take with this way, and we're still doing great because of b2. So that didn't work out. So here we go. This is our moment. At least, by the way, at least Kostya got this moment. He should be happy he got this moment. It didn't look like he was going to have a moment just a little while ago. At least it came out of the opening. So this looks, by the way, taking on b2, of course it's very dangerous for dude. Of course it's dangerous. One thing we did at the dojo, well, by the way, let me just say, although I'm critical of Kostya's endgame, and I think he's going to have to improve it before he becomes a GM, what we did do at the dojo, which I think will serve him well here, is when we played Endgame Sensei, he learned to play with the increment, because he's going to get 30 seconds, right? So one problem that I have, as a guy who grew up on analog clocks, is it freaks me out to have the clock running out. It just freaks me all the way out. But once you get used to it, right, you can play forever with that increment. Yeah, Jake, we need some fresh episodes. We got so many projects going on at the dojo these days. We got to do more episodes of the Dojo Talks. We got so many different things going on. Let's look at rook b2, because it's what Kostya's wondering about. Now, I played king f7 in our sample variation earlier, but of course, things like d8 could be considered. One problem with d8, though, is now you cannot play rook c7 because of bishop a5. So that's an example of like, oh. The reason to think maybe this works for White actually is just because the black king is so kind of mangled here. But anyway, so I guess king.
And what about rook a7 though?
Well, it's check.
No. After king d8.
Okay, rook a7, a3.
Sorry, there's a bit of a lag. So
Right.
We're not looking at the same thing.
Jameel, if we built a retreat center, would you come?
Define a retreat center.
Well, I don't know. You define it.
By a retreat center.
You know, like a place where we would have camps and whatnot.
What, for like recovering blitz addicts or something?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, chess camps. You know, we do the dojo training program IRL.
Yeah, I'd come.
Okay, nice.
You'd have to convince my wife.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the hard sell across the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Kostya's looking at precisely this position. It's not clear to me how black makes progress, but we also don't want Kostya to spend all his time thinking about this bad boy here. One move, maybe, too, is after h4, it's not completely unreasonable to play h5 here. To say, well, I'm going to just put that pawn, keep that pawn on a dark square. Maybe it'll be a target later. Because I don't see white improving their position too much. So if we decide b4 doesn't work or is unclear, we could play h5 and just say, white, you know, what are you going to do, buddy? What is it that you want to do? Okay, let's see what happened. h5 was played. Oh, I'm good. Kostya spent 7 minutes on that. Arguably a little too long. Arguably a little too long. Well, that's not arguable. That was too long. That was too long. Boss, I've been looking at the chat. Filet to gefilte fish asks an inappropriate question, but I will just say, you got to practice retention, boss. You got to practice retention. I'm not going to allow it, though, buddy. They get mad at me. If it was just my private stream, I would have allowed it, but you know.
What are you talking about?
When somebody says something controversial in the chat, I'm allowed to allow it or deny it. And I denied that one, but I did answer the guy's question.
Oh, goodness, I don't want to know what the question is, though.
I think h5, by the way, is a correct move. g5 was played. Now, let's just talk about it. We can imagine some future life where the pawn on g6 becomes weak, right? It's a little bit hard, but that's white's hope. And also g5 just gives us a little more space, throws the question back to black now. And again, it's kind of like, if b4, can you play b4 or not? If you can, it's a little bit hard to say, well, what is it? What is it that we do to hurt Kostya? So Kostya's definitely, his ticker's going down. He might get more time at move 40. That's something maybe somebody can answer for me. Maybe he gets more time.
What about a move like... I don't know. I was thinking of getting the king. Firstly, off a dark square.
Oh, okay. He did it. He spent forever, and now we're going to see what this dude intends.
What did Kostya do?
B4. He played b4, yeah.
Okay, so rook takes b2, pawn takes b2.
And we do have an update from Famutron, who says that there is going to be 30 minutes added extra after move 40, at move 40. So the basic position we're looking at is rook takes. By the way, if bishop takes b4 didn't come with check, then we would definitely play bishop takes b4, right? But unfortunately it does. So now pawn takes, bishop takes. Let's put it on f7. Let's put this on rook b1. And then we just ask, can black somehow make progress here? Here's a little coconut touch, Jameel. Rook c7, bishop d2, rook c4, king d3. And we did take a nut. Look at that. We did take that coconut. The game is far from done. We got bishop c3 on the horizon. You know, so still a lot of open questions there. But we do get that nut. Now, b4, rook takes b2 is played. A takes b2 is played. We're now anticipating the line that we've been looking at for hours now. Notice, too, that Kostya gets 30 seconds. It's a huge deal. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You can.
Oh, spoiler alert. Well, let's see how it happened. Actually, spoiler alert, it looks like black won.
Yeah.
Those are the kings being placed in the won position, not the drawn position. So either he blunders here or I'm missing something. Bishop takes, king e8. Am I missing something? Is there some massive tactic here after rook b1? Okay, rook b1, we called all that. Kostya that now got time after move 41. Even that variation of duel with rook c7, bishop a3, it still looks okay for white because, well, I don't know, it's a little frisky. A little frisky. By the way, we have a result in Zach's game. Let me just show you how that happened. And let's just go back a little bit. So e5, good move, simple chess, simple chess, simple chess, knight b8. And I guess dude just had enough. No, I'm sorry. That's also a delay. So we know that that game's been resigned. It's clear that that game's going to go down because white can play bishop e2 and a5 whenever they're ready. Like rook a7, yeah, come on.
So what they're saying, Jesse, is if rook c7, if you played bishop a3, you've got rook c4, king d3, rook c3, winning the bishop on a3. If that's what happens.
Oh, Kostya's saying something. Hold on. I got to go over it. Get some sound on Kostya. Oh, Kostya's talking, but I can't hear him. So, Kostya, where are you, buddy? Wait. How come there's no sound? There's no sound. He's saying stuff. He's like walking to his room. But I don't know how to put him. No, I don't know how to make him sound. Yeah, there's no sound. Yeah, no sound. He's talking to us. He's trying to give a whole explanation. I don't know, though. Yeah, don't take us to the bathroom with you. No, he knows it's going. He knows it's going. All right. So let's see how it ended, and then we'll end this glorious stream. So, rook b1 happened, rook c7, as expected.
But then what happens after bishop d2?
I don't know, dude.
Rook c2? King d3 then.
Yeah. It looks like his screen is, he paused the screen. So we will exit that one out. Foop. And now we're just going to finish this up.
So,
yeah. Well, yeah, we are simply waiting to see how it ended. Now, one thing I do know about GM norms, my friends, is it helps to get a little lucky. So if he really, obviously he won this game, and I don't know how he won it. And the guy played soft, and Kostya got some kind of chances, and then maybe just completely blundered here, because I don't know why you'd resign. Even if things went wrong, there's still a bunch to play for here, whether it's bishop a3 or bishop d2.
oh no, Jesse, bishop a3, rook c4, king d3, rook c3, and then you win the bishop on a3.
Oh, dude, I wonder if he blundered. I guess he might have blundered that way, dude. Oh, no. What a terrible blunder. Also, Jameel, I was thinking about it, and like on bishop d2, rook a7, well, black's definitely the one playing for a win, right?
What's he gonna do, like king d3 maybe?
I don't know, but he's the one with the coconuts. But I think we did just answer our question about how the game ended. So maybe do a quick recap. Black didn't. Let's start around here, okay? Black was a little worse after knight d4, rook c1. Oh, there's a lot of. By the way, knight d4, of course, is better than rook c1. There's a lot of moves this guy did that were soft. Okay, anyways, so a4, knight d4. Knight d4 put some interesting questions to Kostya. He goes knight e6, and now after this, he was definitely worse after bishop h4. a3 happened, frisky. I don't know if that was the right move, because after b4, it's like the pawn on b4 has more dynamic potential than not. King f1, I didn't like. I especially didn't like king e2. I was like, boss, why didn't you play bishop d5? And then he took there, very passive. And the whole problem with this c4 move is he enables rook a4. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? v6, and he found again nothing better than this. And he's should definitely still be okay, but he's like, he didn't think in this position at all. Played g4, h4 pretty quickly. But rook d7 is a nice move. At the minimum, we're asking black some questions. And again, he didn't. I'll accuse this dude of not thinking about it, because here he was the one who had loads of time left. Obviously, you need to calculate b4. He doesn't. And then this happens. And we are quite conceivably in pretty good trouble here in this position. Yeah. Okay. So let's end it there. I'm going to end the stream. Maybe we'll raid somebody.
You don't see what happens as an open conclusion.
That's what happened.
Well, bishop a3.
Bishop a3, rook c4, and he just resigned. He's like, I had enough. I blundered.
All right.
But actually, let me just stress, you guys, what I said at the very beginning, I think is really true. That when you're an old dude, you're going to get tired a couple hours in. Bishop a3 is definitely a fatigue move. and he wasn't able to think, right? Like he was playing moves like G4 and H4, they were impulsive because he had loads of time and he didn't think about it. And that's the problem with being an old dude. Also, if you play minimalistically like this guy did, you got to understand that your game is going to go forever. And you got to have the energy to play forever. Right? So there it is, my friend. But Kostya, dude, 4 out of 4. Chances for a norm. Chances for a norm. So there you go.
Fantastic.
All right. So let's rate Anna Kramling because she's at the same tournament. And boom. The Kostya's in the chat. He says, my strategy was indeed to play a long game. So totally cool. All right, so I'll rate. Bye, everybody.